What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of LBFT. This is episode 17 of LBFT Season 2. For this episode, we're going to be talking about the Los Angeles Chargers yet again. This time, however, their Thursday night football matchup against their AFC West division rivals, the Kansas City Chiefs, at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Let me say this before I get into the game, though. Now, if you have not watched the game, the Los Angeles Chargers defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 29-28 with that 2-point conversion within the last 4 seconds left of the game, and have clinched their spot in the playoffs. Let me say this before I get into the game. This is the absolute all-time robbery. The Kansas City Chiefs got robbed last night. They got robbed by the officials. The officials took this game away from the Kansas City Chiefs and gave the Los Angeles Chargers this win. And I'll tell you why that is. There is a multitude of penalties called on the Chiefs that were complete bullshit. So I want to start off with that holding penalty on the Chiefs' Daniel Sorensen. I'm not sure if that's how you say his last name right, but that was a bogus call by the officials. Just an absolute bogus call. Daniel didn't barely touch that offensive Chargers player. There was no grabbing or pushing to be seen on that play. And the refs called a holding penalty on that. Bull to the shit on that. Stupid call by the officials. That's number one. Number two, that one push-off against Kansas City's Steven Nelson was also bogus. It was absolutely, positively ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. It makes absolutely, positively no sense whatsoever. Just watch the damn replay of the game, and you'll know why. That was a dumb call by the referees. Just an absolute dumb one. That's two. Number three, that illegal block penalty on the Kansas City Chiefs. How do you say his first name? Carvarius Ward was that illegal block penalty on him was trash. It was hot garbage. I have seen no illegal block from this guy. The camera clearly shows him barely defending off that Chargers offensive player, I believe. I think it was that, or defensive player. Either way, he was barely defending off that Chargers player to let Tremon Smith return after the Chargers punt the ball. And let's get into this. That one pass interference penalty on Kansas City's Kendall Fuller, that pass interference call is the most bogus, bullshit-ass penalty I have seen in this game. This is where the referees dropped the ball. This is where they ruined the integrity, where they affected the outcome in the worst way, and where they clearly did this to keep this game more interesting to watch for many viewers to keep this game as more interesting to watch for many viewers as possible. That was certainly not a pass interference. Even most Los Angeles Chargers fans would tell you that was a stupid call by the refs. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. Pass interference? Really? Really? I mean, damn. What the hell were the referees thinking? That got me to a point where the refs were trying to prevent the TV ratings for this game from going down significantly because the Kansas City Chiefs were up by a touchdown or two. And then the touchdown happened. The Los Angeles Chargers scoring their last touchdown of the game before time expired. And then having to go for the 2-point conversion to win the game by 1 point, 29-28. It happened. Even though if anyone with half a brain and eyes that can see that was not a touchdown. And the Kansas City Chiefs head coach Andy Reid used the red flag to challenge on that play. And I didn't blame him for doing that. I didn't blame him for challenging that play. I really didn't. I thought he made the right move on trying to call on the play. And then the refs reversed the challenge from Andy Reid, which was an absolute bullshit in my opinion. I don't care what anybody says. That was a wrong thing by the refs. They clearly didn't see it. It was not a touchdown. Clearly, it wasn't. That Chargers receiver, I can't remember his name, and I don't want to waste time checking out what his name is. But he did not hold the ball long enough for it to be a touchdown. Especially when he tried to land his feet in the end zone while grabbing the ball inside the end zone to try to make it a touchdown. He didn't hold on. He was kind of wobbling the ball after he caught it in the end zone. He was wobbling it a little bit. And then the refs called it a touchdown, which makes no sense whatsoever. The refs clearly did that to give the Los Angeles Chargers this one for the sake of keeping the TV ratings for this game higher, to keep this game more exciting for most people who watch it on national television. It's ticky-tack type of penalties like those that just made the anger demons inside of me boil. That just rubbed me the very wrong way. That just were flat out bogus and false. And more importantly, that just completely insulted the intelligence of football fans such as myself. All of that are the reasons why I said the Kansas City Chiefs got robbed of their victory by the officials and was taken away from them to the Chargers. The Kansas City Chiefs got robbed. The Kansas City Chiefs got robbed. It's just that simple. I don't give a damn what anybody says. This officiating crew robbed the Kansas City Chiefs this game with some of the most ridiculous and bogus calls I have ever seen in a football game. Whether it's the NFL, college football, or high school football. This game has some of the most bogus, ridiculous, and insane calls I have ever seen in a football game. Period. Period. It's just that unreal. I just couldn't believe what just happened. I couldn't believe what just happened last night. It was almost as if the NFL wanted the referees for this game to try to make this game more exciting for most people, just to make sure that the TV ratings were still higher instead of getting down lower significantly. It really felt like that after the game was over. Like they wanted to give the win to the Chargers instead of to the Chiefs. Because, the Chiefs were up by a touchdown or two, which led to many people starting to turn away from the game, thinking that the Chiefs already won. That's the mindset that I got after watching this game. The officiating crew got it wrong. They clearly dropped the ball on this. They really did. And again, I don't care what anybody says. This was the worst performance from the officiating crew in a football game I have ever seen. It's just that ridiculous. Now, having said all that, if I were to talk about this game without thinking about the penalties, I must say this. Both teams, the Los Angeles Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs, did well. But ultimately, it's the Los Angeles Chargers that came back from a 14-point deficit in the fourth quarter against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now let's talk about the Los Angeles Chargers, starting with Phillip Rivers. He didn't do so well in the first half, I would say. He barely did okay. He was fairly decent in the first half. He didn't. In the first quarter, he got picked off twice, having 2 interceptions. He passed the ball 38 times and has completed 26 of them. Passed the ball 313. Passed for 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, and again has 2 interceptions, all of which in the first half. He didn't do so well in the first half, not so much in the first half, but in the second half, when it counts, he showed up. He showed up and helped the Chargers to win the game. Completed 68.4% of his passes, QBR of 89.0. He didn't do so well in the first half, but in the second half he had improved. He has improved from the first half of the game. What he had to do to give the Chargers a win against the Chiefs, which by the way was the first time since 2013, he did it. He did what he had to do to score up enough points to win the game at Arrowhead Stadium against the Andy Reid coached Kansas City Chiefs. Justin Jackson, 16 carries, 58 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, and average 3.6 yards rushing. He was, the running play by the Los Angeles Chargers, it's not something to brag home about. It wasn't really that impressive, but then again, it might not be that surprising. The Chargers were relying on their passing game and were relying Phillip Rivers to make a lot of passes, and he didn't. Mike Williams and Terrell Williams, 2 Williams, that's weird. Mike Williams, 7 receptions, 76 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdown catches, averaged 10.9 yards receiving. Terrell Williams, 6 receptions, 71 receiving yards, 0 touchdown catches, and averaged 11.8 yards receiving. Both of these guys were very good, even though they didn't have over 100 receiving yards. but they were still good. Mike Williams is no joke. I mean, those two touchdown catches that he had to try to catch the ball from Phillip Rivers when he was passing to Mike Evans. I mean, Mike Williams is not a scrub. He can really ball. Now, let's get into the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Patrick Mahomes, he was very good when he needed to. Completed 70.6% of his passes, passed over 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He didn't turn the ball over. He didn't turn the ball a few times twice like Phillip Rivers did. He didn't turn the ball over like Phillip Rivers did. QBR of 110.3. 110.3. He passed the ball 34 times and has completed 24 of them. Patrick Mahomes, he's a very legit dude. He did so well in the first half of the game. I mean, he was that elite in the first half. There were 2 plays in particular where he was getting a lot of pressure from the defense, and he made 2 nearly impossible passes to 2 of his receivers. One to one of his receivers, and the other to another one of his receivers or tight ends. And I will get into more of that in just a few minutes. But Damian Williams, who took over for Spencer Ware when Spencer Ware got down with the injury, 10 carries, 49 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and averaged 4.9 yards rushing. Basically, he and the rest of the running backs, who are like the backups to him when he's currently the starter. Well, technically he's not, but anyway, you get the point. He was a middle of the pack, and that was only because he was going up against a very legit Los Angeles Chargers defense, particularly the running defense. They were getting into the Kansas City Chiefs running game all game long. Again, to Damian Williams, this time with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, who were sensational throughout most of this season. Damian Williams, 6 receptions, 74 receiving yards, 12.3 average 12.3 yards receiving, and doesn't have a touchdown. Travis Kelce, 7 receptions, 61 receiving yards, 0 touchdowns, averaged 8.7 yards receiving. Tyreek Hill, 4 receptions, 46 receiving yards, 0 touchdowns, average 11.5 yards receiving. None of these guys have a touchdown catch that was given to from Patrick Mahomes. And I felt like they were neutralized. By the Los Angeles Chargers. I felt like they were just neutralized by the Chargers defense. Just the way they were not getting open for Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball to. Just the Chargers were like making it harder and uncomfortable for Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball at. Trying to make him uncomfortable and make him sweat and make him anxious and make him desperate. But the Chargers did well on that. Now, and both defenses were both really good. The Kansas City Chiefs defense really impressed me in the first half. 2 picks against Phillip Rivers and 5 sacks for him from the Chiefs defense, including 2 from this dude named Chris Jones, who to me looked like the Kansas City Chiefs equivalent of Khalil Mack. Just the way he moves and gets into Phillip Rivers' face, he really reminds me of Khalil Mack. he's just that elite. Chris Jones, he's very legit. He's a big dude who can come at opposing quarterbacks like Phillip Rivers. I really like Chris Jones. He's a big boy. He can come at you in a split second. I just like what I saw from this defense, from this Chiefs defense in the first half. But they really fell apart in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter. Let's get back to Patrick Mahomes for a minute. There were two plays that I'm now getting into. In the first half, where he was getting pressure from the Los Angeles Chargers with Joey Bosa, who I heard nothing but high praises about, and how great of a defensive player he is. And my brother from another mother, from Florida State, Derwin James, who, by the way, has been an absolute stud this year, just having a hell of a season as a rookie. And I'm very proud of this dude and what he's doing this year with the Chargers. He is something special to behold. I love this man. My brother, my man, Derwin James, keep doing your thing, brother. Keep doing your thing. I love to see you play. You're just that great. You're probably my second favorite defensive FSU player, right behind Jalen Ramsey. That's just impressive. Anyway, former FSU defensive player. I didn't mention a former at first, but anyway, you get the point. There were two plays where, again, Patrick Mahomes was having pressure from the Chargers defense, and somehow, some way, he was able to find one of his receivers open. This kid reminds me of Aaron Rodgers when he does that. Just how he was getting pressured by the defense and then being able to find a receiver or a tight end is just that damn impressive. I was thinking of Aaron Rodgers' plays when I watched Patrick Mahomes' couple of his plays. Great passing plays from him while getting pressured by the Chargers defense. That alone reminds me of Aaron Rodgers when he was going up against plenty of legit defenses. It's just that impressive. And of course, let's talk about the 2-point conversion by the Los Angeles Chargers offense, led by Phillip Rivers. Let's talk about it. That was pretty bald on the Chargers' part. That was pretty damn bald. Phillip Rivers and the Los Angeles Chargers basically stood up there and said, "We're not going to go to overtime. We're not going to go get the extra point. We're going to go for it to win this damn game." And they succeeded and won the game. But I will say this. This was a very pitiful performance from the Kansas City Chiefs in the second half. In the first half, they did very well at putting pressure on Phillip Rivers and force him to make throws so that they can be able to intercept the ball down the field. And they did that twice to him. Picked him off twice. 2 interceptions. They were doing very well in the first half, but in the second half, they weren't the same. They weren't the same defense as they were in the first half. It seemed like they gave up on that last touchdown and that 2-point conversion that have won the Chargers the game. Now you can argue that the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, whatever the hell his name is, wasn't making the right plays for the defense. You can make the argument that he made some very bad defensive plays at the end of the game, and people were calling for him to be fired. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I don't disagree. Excuse me. He should be gone. and he should have been gone last night. He made the Kansas City Chiefs defense look awful in the second half in terms of yards allowed and points allowed. They need a new defensive coordinator who can turn this defense around. And they need it now, or else the Los Angeles Chargers might represent the AFC to go to the Super Bowl. It's just that simple. If the Chiefs don't do something to adjust to their defense, or at least improve their defense, I just don't know what they'll do. Now, speaking of speaking of teams in the playoffs, let's talk about the entire NFL playoff picture. So, this is the current NFL playoff picture, right? And you're looking at the already done Chargers-Chiefs game. The Chargers beat the Chiefs 29-28, so that thing doesn't count. Although it does count in this instance. This is what the NFL playoff picture looks like. And this is what I predicted. I picked the Texans to beat the Jets. I picked the Broncos to beat the Browns. I picked the Bears to beat the Packers. I picked the Lions to beat the Bills. I picked the Ravens to beat the Buccaneers. I picked the Falcons to beat the Cardinals, and I beat the Bengals to beat the Raiders. I picked the Giants to beat the Titans. I picked the Vikings to beat the Dolphins. I picked the Redskins to beat the Jaguars. I picked the Cowboys to beat the Colts. I picked the Seahawks to beat the 49ers. I picked the Patriots to beat the Steelers. I picked the Rams to beat the Eagles. And I picked the Saints to beat the Panthers. So, and if you look down below, but on both sides, you can see some bit of changes, particularly the 4th and 6th seeds. The Pittsburgh Steelers being at the 4th seed, and the Ravens being put at the 6th seed have been swapped, or I put them to be swapped between both seeds. Not much any changes besides that. And then, going into week 16, this is what it looks like before week 16 starts. And then you look down below and you see who won in who I think will win in week 15. And then this is what I predicted of who will win and lose in week 16. Titans. Well, I picked the Titans to win. I picked the Ravens to win. I picked the Colts to win. I picked the Eagles to win. I picked the Dolphins to win. I picked the Packers to win. I picked the Browns to win. I picked the Cowboys to win. I picked the Lions, the Patriots, the Falcons, the Bears, the Rams, the Saints, the Chiefs, and the Broncos to win in week 16. And then you're starting to see some changes here. And what change would that be? Well, you might see the 6th seed being different. The Miami Dolphins having a record of 8-7. It looks to me like I have a little faith in the Miami Dolphins reaching the playoffs at the moment within week 16. Now keep in mind, everything that I'm saying here is just me predicting who will win and who will lose from week 15 to week 17, the last week of the regular season NFL season. This is just me predicting. It's not me saying what will happen. This is just me predicting the games, who wins and who loses. Me predicting, not saying it will happen. There's a difference. Anyway, You see the Chiefs and the Patriots, Texans, Ravens, and Chargers being at the seats that they were, and you see the Saints, Rams, Vikings, Bears, Seahawks, and Cowboys being in the same seats as they were in Week 15, or would be. And yeah, not much changes there. I mean, Miami Dolphins, I have them to be in the 6th seed, obviously. Now, moving from Week 16 to the last week of the 2018 NFL season, regular NFL season, this is what Week 17 looks like, and what my prediction looks like below on both the AFC and the NFC. And are you guys ready for this? 3, 2, 1. This is what I predicted who will win and who will lose in Week 17. Now you're starting to see more than one change in two of the seeds. You see the Indianapolis Colts being in the 6th seed, being in my 6th seed for Week 17. Formerly, it was the Dolphins and the Steelers and the Ravens. 4 replacements each week. And then you see the Philadelphia Eagles being in the 6th seed in the NFC. Formerly it was the Minnesota Vikings, but then in Week 17, based on me picking the Eagles to win and the Dolphins lose, or I think I picked the Dolphins to lose. No, I picked them to win, actually. Okay, I'm seeing that I picked them to win. Anyway, I picked the Eagles to win within the last 2 of the 3 weeks. So that makes them to be an 8-8 team, to be at the 6th seed of the NFC playoff picture. So this is interesting. I picked the Kansas City Chiefs to be 13-3, being the number 1 seed in the AFC. New England Patriots 12-4, Houston Texans 11-5, at the number 3 seed in the AFC. Baltimore Ravens 10-6 at the number 4th seed. I had the Los Angeles Chargers 12-4 being the number 5th seed. I have the Indianapolis Colts being 9-7 at the number 6th seed in the AFC. So for that, it looks to me like I picked the Indianapolis Colts to go up against the Houston Texans and the Los Angeles Chargers going up against the Baltimore Ravens, and having the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots going on a bye week in the playoffs, first round bye in the playoffs for the AFC. And then going to the NFC, I have the New England Patriots and the Los Angeles Rams both being 14-2, being the number 1 and number 2 seeds. I had the Chicago Bears being 12-4, being the number 3 seed in the NFC. Dallas Cowboys 11-5 at the number 4 seed and number 4th seed. And the Seattle Seahawks 10-6 at the number 5th seed, and the Philadelphia Eagles being 8-8 at the number 6th seed. So I have the Philadelphia Eagles, just for Week 17, the last regular season week of the 2018 NFL season. I have the Philadelphia Eagles facing the Chicago Bears, and I have the Seattle Seahawks going up against the Dallas Cowboys. And then I have the New Orleans Saints and the Los Angeles Rams going on a first-round bye in the playoffs for the NFC. Based on my predictions alone, just based on how this looks, both on the NFC side of the playoffs and the AFC side of the playoffs, I would say that if any of those teams go to the playoffs, which some I don't think would, but in case that all of them do reach the playoffs, I think the Houston Texans would win at home against the Indianapolis Colts. And Los Angeles Chargers and the Baltimore Ravens, that's pretty dicey to say. That's pretty tough to say. It would be a good matchup if this were a game. Excuse me. I'm probably going to have to say Chargers. I might say Chargers would beat the Ravens on the road. And in the wild card round of the NFC playoffs, I would say the Chicago Bears would win at home against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then, for the Seahawks-Cowboys playoff game, it's also pretty dicey, much like the Chargers-Ravens game. I'm going to have to go with the Seattle Seahawks to win on the road against the Cowboys, much like the Chargers-Ravens game. So, yeah, this is interesting, I must say. I actually really didn't expect to have at least a couple of those teams to actually be in my predictions list, especially from Week 15 to Week 17 in this NFL playoff picture right now. Again, this is just me predicting what I think, which team I think will win and will not, and will reach the playoffs and ones who will miss the playoffs. So anyway, guys, those are my prediction. That is my reaction to the Los Angeles Chargers Kansas City Chiefs game from last night's Thursday night football matchup / AFC West division matchup between both of these AFC West division rivals, the Chiefs and the Chargers. Chargers defeating the Chiefs for the first time since 2013. Congrats to the Chargers. They deserve a lot of credit for what they did in the second half. If you enjoyed this episode, please click the like button, and if you watched the game, let me know in the comment section below of what you think of the Chargers-Chiefs game. If you enjoy what you've seen here and you want to see future videos from me, please press the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next episode of LBFT. Have a great week, Battle Squad, and as always, fight the good fight.